Hi guys, it's Candy here in the art studio, which is slightly windy because I have got all the doors open. I'm grabbing a quiet moment because the three kids are on the driveway having a picnic with their dad, my ex-husband, a lockdown quarantine picnic, socially distanced of course. So I am expecting calls to go and facilitate sandwiches and stuff in a minute, but I'm grabbing some time while I can. Now, I wanted to start doing a few more deck reviews and walkthroughs because I've started buying some decks. It's been in my first 6 months of tarot learning, and I wanted to put some of my own reviews on there. Not necessarily because they've never been reviewed before, because they have, but just to put them on my channel so I can see my reactions to them and possibly look back in times to come. There are my dogs in the background messing about. Just to see. So in a minute I'm going to turn the camera around so you get a better view of the cards. But the first deck that I wanted to do in this series of deck reviews is probably my favourite, the Tarot of the Sweet Twilight, which is the most gloriously fantastic, balanced, deep, quirky, healing, talkative deck so far that I own. I absolutely love it. I can't put it down. You can see the little tuck box it comes in is getting scuffed. I think I might be quite heavy-handed with decks, I'm finding out. It's by... You wait, I unmask this. This is Lo Scarabeo. Oh, I've heard loads of people say that and I can't say it. Lo Scarabeo deck. It's a Lo Scarabeo deck and it's beautiful. It follows a Rider-Waite system, but it has really quirky takes on the Rider-Waite system. Some of the messages are different. Some of the cards are slightly different. There are a few in there that go off on their own tangent, but mostly you could read it with the Rider-Waite system. But even though it does follow the meanings and the cards follow the same meanings, it has its own quirky take on those meanings. You'll see more when I do the review, but I found that the more positive, sunny cards come with a warning. They have a yeah, this is brilliant but element to them, and the darker cards have a this was terrible but look for the positive. So it's quite balanced. It makes you think. It makes you go on a journey, this deck. It makes you think hard sometimes beyond what you would normally, what other decks are making me think. Brilliant for healing work. I am a trauma survivor myself. I've done a lot of inner child work, a lot of internal work to recover. Suffered with post-traumatic stress disorder and all sorts of different things, and this deck speaks to my heart. So if you have been through any sort of trauma, this deck is wonderful. If you just want to dive deep into your subconscious, this deck will drag you there. It's not very expensive. The artwork is absolutely sublime. It's kind of like got this sort of coloured pencil texture to it. The colour scheme is just beautiful. You've got all these kind of muted purpley greeny hues. Just everything about it is gorgeous. Borders not so much, and I've seen other people online who've done reviews who have trimmed all of this off, which I understand why. I'm too scared to do that, so I've not altered any deck yet. The backs are fully reversible and gorgeous, and the cardstock is good, but I'm sure I will say that, repeat that again. But yeah, it is, it's lovely. It's just brilliant. I saw it first on Simon's Facebook page for the Hermit's Cave. Somebody on there just put a post going, I'm loving this deck, and added a few photos. And the minute I saw the photos, that was it. I was all over it. So that's where I saw it first. So thank you, Simon at the Hermit's Cave, for that. If I can work out how to do it, I will link Simon's channel below, although I'm sure everybody knows where to find Simon. But yeah, it's beautiful. So I'm going to turn the camera around and stop waffling, and I'm going to take you through card by card where you can actually see this gorgeous, beautiful deck more. Okay, so this is the box. Tarot of the Sweet Twilight by Cristina Benintende. Like I say, it's a Lo Scarabeo deck. So it comes with the little white book, which has got these first 3 pages are in English, but there's other languages in there if you need them. So again, you've just got the little description, a sentence for each, but it is really good. There's the title card. Backs of the cards are gorgeous. They are completely reversible, and the cardstock, it's thick enough to feel decent quality, but it's thin enough to shuffle really nicely. It's a good riffle shuffler. I haven't put this deck down, to be honest, since I've got it. I've been so attached to it, so it's been shuffled and shuffled and shuffled. Oh, hang on, there's my first child banging the front door to come in. Bear with me a minute, I'm going to pause the video and come back. Okay, 1 word search done on the driveway with my ex-husband and the kids, and I am back to filming it. So we have the Fool. Now, I love this Fool because it's immediately you can see there's something unusual here, because normally in the decks you've got the Fool stepping off the cliff and he's mid-step. Here you've got a Fool that is still dancing, or he's not even looking at the edge of the cliff, and you've got it looks like a cat here, like almost trying to drag him towards the cliff, and you can see he is still strung up like a marionette with strings. So there's somebody controlling the strings out of shot here, and these strings occur throughout the deck in certain cards, and it's a pointer, I think, for us to question just who is pulling our strings. Are we marching by the beat of our own drum, or are we being controlled? And this kind of added element to the cards crops up again and again, which is why I think it's a really amazing deck for healing from any trauma or any abuse or any emotional control, because it really asks you to dive deep. Yes, there's a new beginning here, but are you ready for it? Do you know what you want yet? So the minute I saw that Fool card, I absolutely loved it. Right, you've got the Magician. You've got the little cat here with the pentacle. Let me just adjust my light. Let's see, is that clear? There we go. That's better, I think. Sorry guys, this lighting's a bit rubbish, isn't it? Right, so you've got the little cat with the pentacle. He's got all the tools he needs there. So it's about getting rid of self-doubt and the fact that you've got all the tools you need and the power is inside of you. The High Priestess card is one of my stalker cards. This week I've pulled this card out in 4 readings out of 5, and then I pulled it out from another deck as well. Her power and her ability to access her subconscious and her inner knowing and all the skills that come with the High Priestess here are represented in her love of animals and protecting the animals that we don't normally see as important. And here you can see she's got mice wrapped around her neck protecting them from the cat. And I like this take of caring for the underdog, and also being able to see what goes on behind walls and under floorboards. She can see the mice because they're hidden, they're not shallow, they're in the shadows. So I loved that representation of the High Priestess, and like I say, she's been my stalker card. So again, it hints of like being able to see the shadows, and so it's more than just being able to access your power. It's about being aware of shadows and what's going on beneath the surface. Again, just asking you to delve a bit deeper into the typical meaning of the card, I think. The Empress talks about being in the world as well as being part of the world. She's standing in the water whilst holding the world. You have her heart crown and the heart on her face, which talks about her link to love. And the fact that we create and we are the created, so that combination. And you've got another combination here represented for the Emperor about the balance that we are, and the fact that you can move smoothly between different elements once you've got control and you roll your sleeves up to get on with stuff. The Hierophant is beckoning the girl to come forward and look at all the unusual things in the world. Again, there's a real care for animals that we saw in the High Priestess card. He's gently cradling this bird. You've got flying fish. So it's a very quirky, unusual take on the world that these characters are living in, which I absolutely love and appreciate. The Lovers, the fact that once you're in love, you kind of can block out everything else and you can create your own little world. The Chariot's slightly unusual. It says who's in charge, who's controlling it, what happens if somebody stops playing along, does the Chariot stop? And you've got two figures here controlling the Chariot. Again, it very much speaks about working out who's pulling the strings, who's got the reins, a bit like the Fool card. Justice is a beautiful card. The book, if I read from the little white book, Justice has her hands full, making sure the music of the spheres is always in perfect harmony. So you can see you've got the musical notes and the treble clef. This job is made harder because so many others think that they need to do it. So again, it's just that slight quirky twist to it. The Hermit card. Alone with his thoughts, trying to give them form with words, the hermit hesitates, realising he can only codify a small portion of the truth, much that he knows cannot be written. So about life experience and holding the truth within. I love this Wheel of Fortune card. The Wheel of Fortune will turn and go and stop however it wishes. Although your actions power it, you can have no idea what really will come. So you may as well have fun while you're at it. So again, it speaks of the chance element that we associate with the Wheel of Fortune, but it also speaks of the power that we wield to actually turn that chance. So we're not completely powerless within that chance. But again, it takes what could be a negative message and says, you know, but go and have fun because it's going to turn anyway. Absolutely love this Strength card. Strength exists in a tender caress given in open vulnerability. That nod towards strength and vulnerability being partners is absolutely beautiful. And the tender look on her face, it just shows what I love about this artwork. The colours, the muted colours, that beautiful look on her face. The idea of strength being taking off the mask and being prepared to be vulnerable. You've got a little Star Wars reference down here. It's just quirky and mad and beautiful and just lovely. It says strength looks with love into the eyes of what she fears. Oh, how lovely is that? Knowing that this is the way to find her true self. So I suppose the little Yoda reference would be about finding the force. The force is within you, and accepting what you are to get the force. I mean, I'm not a great Star Wars nerd at all, but I'm assuming that that's why he's there. But it's just a beautiful card. There's so much to read in it. The Hanged Man, you've got two hanged men in there, one upside down, the more traditional version, and one this way up. And it says about the Hanged Man, about trying to possess beauty and truth. And only after you've been transformed do you know that you can't possess beauty and truth, but you must become it. Oh, just glorious. And this card, oh my goodness, this is my very favourite death card ever. You've got Death carrying the lady out of the desert. You've got the sun beating down, and his shadow actually forms like a sun canopy over the top of us. So the fact that, yes, death can mean death and it can be an ending, but it's also the wonderfulness of a new beginning. That death is a friend. Death is a friend whichever way you look at it. And death in the guidebook is described as a tender lover. Oh my goodness, I just love it. It says death as tender as a lover carries your poor soul across the desert step by lonely step to lay you down gently so that you can absorb and understand the truth of this life. And if any card describes how I feel about this deck being great for healing, it's this card. Because if anybody's been through any sort of trauma of any kind, you do know that it is like walking through a desert. You have to go through to get out, and it is step by lonely step. And the thought that the death of something is carrying you like a tender lover is just the most beautiful description of what new beginnings actually are. Because you've got the pain of the ending, but you've got and the struggle of getting through an ending step by lonely step, but you've also got the most tender lover you've ever met, trying to get you to safety, protecting you from the sun and carrying you through to a new land so that you can just absorb it. So this card talks about that journey, like being in that healing journey where you haven't yet got to the end. Anyway, I'm waffling, but I just do absolutely love this card. Temperance. She's still in the desert. She's still standing in the arid landscape that we saw in the death card. But she's balancing hope and desire. And the blessings are in her hands. You know, we've got it in our hands, the power to get out of that desert. Well, the devil gives me chills, this one. I know that there are scarier devil cards, but just his sitting, watching carefully as you approach. The book says he's scanning for chinks in your armour. What use, he wonders, is this person to me? Oh, and haven't we all met somebody like that who just sits quietly looking on, going, how can I use you? Yeah, we've all met that person. The Tower, oh my goodness, look at this. And again, this is a card that is a big card. It has a big message to give, but we've got somebody in rabbit ears sitting with a teddy watching it. And the book says, the tower burns and crumbles. It is destroyed utterly. So it doesn't shy away from the darkness of this card. But then it adds, to those who play among the birds and keep their eyes on the sun, this event is merely entertaining. So can you see how it throws a twist? So it throws a light twist to the dark cards and a dark twist to some of the lighter cards. And the two things combined, it just gives so much to read from, which is why I think this deck is so talkative. The Star is completely cute. So it sprinkles hope onto the ocean, which the ocean needs at the minute, since it's full of plastic. The Moon card, slightly different imagery there. You haven't got the the two dogs howling at the moon. You do have the two trees that look like the towers, and you've got the sunlight in the distance, indicating that there may be a journey afoot. But it says that the moon can give you nothing more than yourself, just a few shadows thrown in to keep things interesting. So it speaks about looking internally. The Sun card again is unusual, and this speaks of the fact that we've all got the sun within us. We can all shine the sun out of us, but to differing degrees. So the sun is seen in people's eyes. So you've got the girl here with glittering eyes, you've got a girl here with hollow eyes, a child here with scared eyes, and all levels in between. So again, that speaks to me of our inner life and being on a journey of healing where we might not shine like we used to, and we have different levels that we can shine from at different days. So I love that as well. Judgment is unusual. The book says the dead are not really dead. They are waiting and will be called one day to transform and live as something or someone else. So again, it speaks of the karmic element of this card. The angel is blowing a trumpet over a graveyard to wake up the dead, and there is the idea of judgment. What are you coming back as? What have you deserved? Are you going to be the slug? Are you going to be the lion? You know, are you going to be the queen? Are you going to be the pauper? Which one are you going to come back as? So a kind of karmic reincarnation take on that. The world, it says that all the world with all its joys and sorrows, promises and lies, possibilities and endings is all yours. You just need to reach out and receive it. So yeah, you've got the figure here with the huge world kind of crying tears into the disc that the person's holding up. And we have an earth that's crying at the moment. So yeah, just beautiful. So that's the major arcana. I just absolutely love them all. I can hear children in the background. Let me just check my daughter's fine. Tilly, are you okay, darling?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Life in lockdown. I'm here with my 3 kids, and it's been amazing actually. My kids are brilliant. Okay, I have my daughter joining me. You're gonna let mummy film? Yeah? Okay, right then. I love my kids, they're such good kids. Okay, the Ace of Cups. So she's knee deep in water, and she looks, she looks like she's certainly got a sad face. I can't work out whether that's a tear or not. It says your heart is overflowing, being tossed about in turbulent times. So again, this Ace of Cups isn't just about happy beginnings. It is about being tossed around in your emotions. I suppose it relates to the emotional element of cups. And it says it can be hard to keep calm, especially when the dove isn't bringing any hope. So there we go. We've got the slightly more negative element to the more positive card of a beginnings card. Okay, the Two of Cups. I love these characters with their wine bottle open and the conversation flowing like flowers between them and the candlelight. And you've got the bed and the ocean. Looks like a perfect date to me. Three of Cups, which is the socialising, party, meeting up with friends card. This is my idea of socialising. You've got a solitary swing set up with a drink in it, a swing for one, but with her animals around her. I think the hermit in me appreciates that card. Four of Cups. The book says, what do you think of someone who keeps looking for what she already has? Yeah, me too. A bit sassy, that. Five of Cups. Oh my goodness me. This smacks to me of emotional intelligence and the need, if you're healing, just to sit in those feelings and not to run away from them. and the book follows that trajectory on this card. It says, there are times when our heart feels empty, like we've lost that which is most dear. It is best to lay with the loss, let the soul rest. Often afterwards we see that perhaps all was not really lost. So again, look for the positive in the painful messages of some of these cards. Right, the Six of Cups. Sorry, I keep saying cups, but it's actually chalices in this deck. The Six of Chalices, which is normally about memory and old friends. This is slightly different. This almost talks about new friends, getting new friends, not looking back at old friends. And this is another one of my stalker cards. I keep pulling this and the High Priestess over and over again. The booklet says, stepping outside the confines of social structure, we can find ways to connect with others. These others may be ones we normally overlook. The ways we connect will certainly surprise us. So a slightly unique take on friendship and not necessarily looking back, which I suppose is the reversed meaning of this card. Don't get stuck in the past. So you can see the Rider-Waite-Smith system still in there, but with a quirky take. And the Seven of Cups is more about dreaming rather than having lots of options. So, and I suppose that does link to the having lots of options that aren't yet reality. So what do you see? But what do you fear when you're dreaming? What do you think that you can't have when you dream? And you can see all her options of cups are around her. But when she looks in the water, she sees a skeleton. So it asks us to delve deeper into our psyche and ask, what are we fearing when we dream? The Eight of Cups again is a link for me to emotional intelligence and asking us to gauge how we feel about things and how secure we are with our emotional intelligence. What is one to do when one must leave, especially when what must be left is beautiful and lovely and a good life, but still it's somehow just not right. So you can see he's walking away with his hand on his heart. You can see there's pain there. She's facing in the other direction, tipping out a drink. She's tethered here, so she's staying, but I think he's untethered. So what are you going to do? It poses the question. Nine of Chalices. Oh my goodness me. I think this is my all-time favourite tarot card ever so far in my tarot journey. Normally, it heralds the happiness. It's the Rider-Waite-Smith system just speaks of happiness, and you've got all the cups normally on that with the happy guy, but she's actually drowning in her emotions here. She's underwater, but she is heralding in this swan to come and save her. Now, I work with Bridget as a deity, and one of her animals is the swan, and I collect swans. So immediately I'm going to love this card. But I just love the take on it, the fact that happiness just doesn't just come. She's swamped with emotion. She's actually not in a happy place. She's stood on a roof, submerged underwater. It looks like she's caught in a flood of emotions. And she's having to stand there strong in the floodwater and herald in a saviour. Absolutely love it. So happiness is there for the grabbing, but it doesn't just land in your lap. Happiness is an action. It isn't just a passive place. You're going to have to excuse all the noises in the background. I've got garden doors slamming and all sorts. I am going to read what the Nine of Cups said. It says, even when buried by our feelings, we may still rise our eyes and our hands towards our goal, our hope, our inspiration. There are times when the only way to go is up. So again, happiness is an action. It's not just a passive thing that gets landed in our lap. Right, I have got to go again because my kids are shouting at the front door and the garden door is slamming in the wind. So bear with me a minute. Right, okay, let's try this again. I'm sorry about all the noise in the background, but this is what happens when you've got 3 kids and 2 dogs, and you're in the house all together. Okay, the 10 of Cups. I love the fact they've got matching belts on here. It just shows that that lovely unit that you can create to call home. Now the Knave of, sorry, I keep calling it Cups, it's Chalices. The Knave of Chalices. With the court cards in this deck, not all of them, but most of the court cards, I think, act as warnings. They're quite dark, some of the interpretations of the court cards. You've got the Knight of Chalices here, which speaks of more of the heartbreak of love rather than like the like a proposal message. It says, there is something brave and beautiful about rushing headlong into love, about giving all of yourself with your whole heart. Brave and beautiful, but not without risks. So, a slightly darker take on the court cards. The Queen of Cups, normally I associate her with a woman, an empathic woman who's really in touch with her emotions and can read people, and likes to support people with their emotions. But again, this card warns of the dangers of vanity. You can see she's been staring in the mirror. There's a mirror behind her, and it says, the guidebook says, it is often true that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Gazing at our own reflection may make us either critical or vain, but gazing at someone we love can only make us our very best selves. So again, the warning there, not to fall in love with yourself, but to look outwards, a bit like the Queen of Cups does to other people. And the King of Chalices, it says about wisdom and experience. You can see he's made up of a tower of books. So is it wisdom and experience that keeps someone well away from the dangers and risks of love? Is it wise to turn your back on potential pain and potential joy? So all of these court cards kind of speak of how important love is and our emotions and our emotional life, but none of it comes without risk. Yeah, I definitely feel like there are warnings hidden within the court cards of this deck. Okay, I'm going to try and speed up a bit because I am taking forever. Oh my gosh, I love this Ace of Pentacles. It's so beautiful. You can see she's got the little germinating seed, and as a gardener, oh, I just get this card. I love it. Two of Pentacles. Normally it's about balance and negotiation, but this card speaks about body image. You can see she's posing in the mirror, and it says, who are you, and who do you dream of becoming, and what do you look at when you see in the mirror, and what's happening in the space between who you are and who you want to be. So yes, it's in the realm of Pentacles, it's in the physical realm, your health, your body, but very much a call to look at body image and to get that idea of balance and a space between things through that. So I really appreciate that as a woman whose body image needs substantial work, shall we say. The Three of Pentacles comes at it from the take of a meeting of minds, a meeting of minds, even an entwining of hearts, well-matched skills, 3 elements, so combining skills. My other stalker card from this deck is the Four of Pentacles. I love it so much. It says, sitting tight and holding close is safe. Things aren't likely to get lost that way, nor will anyone ever take flight soaring high on the wings of anticipation. It's a trade-off. beautiful advice in that card. You can see she's got a little pilot's hat on, but she's certainly not taking off. She's clinging to her worldly possessions. Beautiful. And I also love this Five of Pentacles take, which is normally talking about poverty and lack, and being, you know, if you just change your view, you might not be so much in lack. This gives that message with the camper van and the hippies who are who have all the wealth that they could possibly want, even though the world might not agree with them. And as a woman who has lusted after van life for a huge portion of our adult life, I totally get the message in this card. The book says, is wealth something we chase after or something that we carry with us? The measure of wealth is a personal thing. A shift in point of view may reveal more wealth than first perceived. Brilliant, brilliant take. Six of Pentacles, so the idea of giving gifts, talks about the circle of wealth in your life, and that giving and receiving are just different sides of the same coin, and that in life you end up in both positions. Sometimes you're in a position to give, sometimes you're in the position where you need to receive. The Seven of Pentacles, so your potential for success, so things are beginning to come together. You've got somebody conducting a band, so each part has been carefully tended and arranged just so. If it's not working, what can you change? The book asks you to consider. The Eight of Pentacles. Oh, I'm not really sure about this card. Yeah, its message is to avoid stagnation, and yeah, it says practice makes perfect. But what then? After perfection has been attained, doing the same thing over and over again can be boring. So to avoid stagnation, try something new. So slightly different take on that card. The Nine of Pentacles is depicted as a catwoman, so kind of a thief. It makes me think that she has had a successful robbery and she's running off with all the goods. So, quirky take on that. And the Ten of Pentacles, the guidebook is lovely. It says that people live in houses, but is your house really a home? So again, getting us to question what we value as an actual home rather than just the monetary possessions of it all. And you've got this lady who looks very happy in her home. Right, the Knave of Pentacles is Willy Wonka. It talks about being excited about the fact that you can create something completely new and being beckoned into a new world, and that you've got pathways to achieve great things. Opportunity beckons. So quite a positive take on the knaves. The knaves don't seem as full of warning as the other cards. The Knight of Pentacles. So the Knight of Pentacles is normally a plodding, secure nature, a character that's like really trustworthy and secure. There's that plodding element to the Knight of Pentacles. But here we've got a Knight of Pentacles that's got fed up with the plodding, and he's on his magic fish and he's flying off. And the book says security can get boring, so be ready for adventure. So again, there is that warning element to the typical message of the card. The Queen of Pentacles is gorgeous. She's got the moon behind her, and the message is physical things are not mundane, so you can enjoy them. And the King of Pentacles, normally the generous man offering security and loyalty. But this card the message is viewed from the perspective of an onlooker. You know, it's really nice for the people that are within his security and are being tended for. But what about the people who are left out of that security bubble? it says different people like different things. Those who pay attention can easily please others. So that's talking about the King of Pentacles nature. You know, he can provide for somebody, he's loyal, and he does that by keeping in the earthly realm and actually looking at what people need. However, those who are overlooked will absolutely not be pleased. So the warning element that you might be annoying a few people by providing for others so well. So slightly different there, and I've got the swords and they are out of order. Bear with me a second. Okay, swords. The call to action. She's unsheathing her sword. So crack on and get it done, guys. Two of Swords is beautiful. And you can see she can't quite see everything. She's sat in the ocean. And the Three of Swords kind of follows on from that. You've got the swords behind her now. And you've got the heartbreak with the dagger going in. But the book asks you to question who exactly is it who's holding the dagger. Again, it's asking you to dive deep. Brilliant healing work message. Four of Swords is beautiful. Again, it looks like the same woman who has climbed up now to rest. Five of Swords. The battle and the loss element of this card is depicted in a fantastic way, I think. The book suggests that you don't get dragged in. Don't get dragged in with your soul, because if you do get dragged in, you will eventually pick up the evilness of the people who are causing the drama. Now, if you are an abuse survivor, which I am, this is again such a healing card. You know, it's a call to look at, you know, have you picked up any of the narcissistic fleas of the abusers around you? It asks you to really be honest with yourself and suggests that the boundary work that you do will keep you separate from the people who have caused the abuse. It's a beautiful depiction of challenge and drama. The Six of Swords is moving on idea. Again, there's an added element in this. The book says, why would somebody with the ability to fly by herself be carried as a prisoner? What is the appeal of giving over control of one's destiny to somebody else? Wow. So, yes, the moving on message is there and the new path message, but it's also asking you to question, have you detached first? Detach before you move on. Brilliant extra element there. The Seven of Swords, normally about dishonesty and theft. There's somebody that's built a wall here for their safety. Let's keep those thieves out. The book says a wall is built ready to withstand whatever attacks may come. What does it mean, though, when the builder of the wall spends more time convincing herself that she is in the right as she does anything else? Again, a massively huge point for recovery work, and about not being stuck, and about not being afraid to live, and about not being stuck in the fear of the possibility of theft, or you know, being stuck in your victimhood. Again, I just love these cards. I love the take, the kind of unique twist on them all. 8, your restriction. You can see, yeah, she's restricted there. Beautiful Nine of Swords. I love the moon. She's holding like a moon on a string. There's a tiny little indication of hope in there. Oh, the Ten of Swords is so gorgeous. We have a little girl with the pigtails. Her youth is kind of implied by the pigtails. And then on the tomb, she's looking at her own tomb, because there's a tiny little sign with the pigtails on. You can see the pink sculpture has got her wings. So it's a real ending, but it's an ending with a safety circle around it. The swords are forming a protective circle. And the shadow here of her wings, it's kind of, her wings are open. They're closed on her, but they're open in the shadow as if she's about to take flight into something new. Absolutely love that. It's such a beautiful card. Right, the Knave of Swords. So this is about not being distracted. You're ready for action, but don't get distracted. Again, you've got the warning there within the Court card. The Knight of Swords. It speaks about being ready to go off on a quest, but how sad for the people left behind. And who is more sad, the person going on the quest or the person being left behind? The Queen of Swords, it looks to me like a witch being burned at the stake. And the defiance in her face is so beautiful. This is such a beautiful card. The book calls it Trial by Fire. So again, that imagery with the witch burning fits as well. And I'll read you what the book says for this, because this is beautiful. Trial by fire is a good way to develop strength of character and wisdom, but people usually choose other paths. Trial by fire people don't get a choice, except in how they respond to the trial. Amazing, just beautiful. So how are you responding to a trial by fire? And the King of Swords. Yeah, this one is a bit tricky to read, I think. Normally it's an ambitious man who's very stuck in the realms of reality. He's taken emotion out of it. He's very in the here and now, fact driven. And the booklet says there's no space for personal interpretations of what's going on. So again, I suppose it's calling you to stay within facts. And it says other people will get angry if you slip out of facts. So you've got the warning again within the Court card. Okay, finally we get to the Wands. So this speaks of the potential, the power. You can see this little lad in the tree has dropped his little wand here and he's trying to rip a twig off this branch that has got so much power in this tree. So it asks you to look at the whole picture and to assess the situation with the whole picture. The Two of Wands talks about making plans, but it throws in the slant that all of your plans and all of the paths that you plan out and follow, they all lead to the same place, and all these people are walking towards Death Valley. So how does that affect your planning if you know you're going to end up dead at the end of the day? The travelling towards adventure and the action of the Three of Wands asks you to, if you get weary every day on this journey, to pause and look at how far you've come. The Four of Wands, the marriage card and the celebratory marriage, shows a couple who look absolutely exhausted and they found an oasis. So a double-edged sword to this one. You know, it says it's freedom, it's wonderful, you found an oasis, because just stop and pause, and this oasis and this joyous place to find to pause isn't a forever place. So again, it's taken a really positive card and said, yeah, well, enjoy it, mate, but it's not going to be forever. And it's got a lot of reality in some of these messages. The Five of Wands talks about working together is better. The Six of Wands, the Victory card, shows somebody crying. Can you see the way this deck goes with these cards? Why is he crying or she crying in the Victory card? Well, the book says when the thing you've waited for, worked for, is finally achieved. Yeah, there's your victory. Sadness is close on the heels of victory it is done. And now what quest will fill your days, your heart, your mind? So you've got the joy of the victory, but it's also giving a nod to the fact that this is the end of it. You've won. Now what? So similar to this card, you've got the circle of a joyous thing, followed by that circle always coming round to something else. My other stalker card, the Seven of Wands. So your challenge and you're standing up and fighting for what is right, but it gives you strength. It talks to giving you strength. The movement card is a lot more static in this deck, but it's the idea of everything has been put in place and now things can fall into motion. And then what is normally a more static card, the Nine of Wands, about getting defences in place. She looks like she's moving forward. So again, it twists it all up. And the guidebook says for this card, yeah, it was job well done. Everything's protected. Great. But hey, guess what? You've got, it's giving you more energy for something else. The Ten of Wands asks you basically to mind your own business, and you've got these marionette strings coming back in that we saw in the Fool card. Don't be a busybody. It's exhausting enough looking after your own actions and karma in this world. Don't get involved in everybody else's. So if you do that, that's the burden you're putting on yourself. Keep your nose out of it. Just deal with you. Otherwise, you're going to have too much on your plate. The Knave. So good news and words. Fall in love with something new. Express yourself. So the idea of using words, but to express yourself with a new hobby. The Knight of Wands, which is speed and action normally, talks about, you've got the guy moving forward, confident, but there's also another shadow person down here tied up who's not so confident. So yes, we're moving forward, but be prepared to at some point on your quest to wonder whether you've got it in you to carry on. And the idea of vulnerability and the masks dropping, we all feel that. We all step out in confidence and then start to self-doubt. Oh, no, that one next, the Queen of Wands. So normally the creative queen, the party queen, stepping into her creativity. The book says she's all dressed up and nowhere to go. So are you just doing it for an audience? Can you see the warnings again in the court cards? And the King, it talks about having enough charisma to inspire others. And he's walking away, leaving ladies dancing. So that's it, guys. That is the beautiful tarot of the Sweet Twilight, which I absolutely adore. I know this has been a long review, but I think this deck justifies that long review. It's superb, it's beautiful, it's affordable, it's talkative, it's quirky, it's clever, it's brilliant for diving deeper into emotional intelligence, healing work, self-questioning. If you're reading for yourself, it's a fantastic deck. I have absolutely loved working with it. I cannot recommend it highly enough. It definitely feels like this is my first soul deck on an early journey into the tarot, and I hope that you have enjoyed the review of it. Okay, thank you. I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.